They bought the dip. They bought the dip on Friday, and that was a big dip. Everyone that missed out on that rally on Wednesday, they bought that dip and they got us back. They even went green on the session. Is this another opportunity today down over 20 handles? We'll find out what's up, what's down, and if it will be another buy the dip opportunity. China, if anybody can find resistance in these Chinese stocks, you let me know because I'm done trying to find resistance. Our plane tracker has located Tim Quast. The Quastinator is in Denver. He will be on the show, and he has 2 weeks of content to make up for. Let's get things started on this Monday morning, folks. I'm fired up. Maybe you guys know the reason. Go blue.
Coming to you live from downtown Detroit, this is Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep with your host, Joel Elconin.
This is a volatile puppy here, isn't it?
And Dennis Dick.
I'm bidding a penny. I'd buy that stock for a penny.
With everything you need to start your trading day.
Good morning, traders and investors. We're starting out in the red here, 20 3/4 handles, 54.75. Good number on the upside. That closed 75.5 pre-market high, 75.75. The buck, we talked about that lower 104 handle on the monthlies, and that's exactly where it went earlier. Down a dime at 104.40. TLT backing off a little bit, down 51 cents, 106.58. OPEC keeping their jaws moving and keeping crude above 80. We're up 231 at 82.29. Gold trying to make 1800 support. We'll see how long that lasts. Up 60 cents at 18.10.40. Silver finding a home in a 23 handle. Up 3 cents, 23.28. Bitcoin, it's a different kind of Bitcoin, but it's up. It's up 235 at 17,230. And Ethereum futures, they are, just the last day given Ethereum futures. They are being deleted right now. So that's it. No Ethereum futures. The last quote, down $3 at 1287.50. Well, a fun part of the show or the pre-market show is when Triple D comes on. He can't remember what happened on Friday, but he looks at the futures. He looks at all the stocks that he follows, and he tells us what's not adding up here. And what's not adding up, Triple D, is
I don't see that much weakness here today. Some days you come in and you're down 20 handles. You're like, holy, there's a lot of mess out here. I come in today, I don't see any mess. I see Tesla's a mess. And then I'm just looking, at basically the top 100 components. I see a lot of oil, green. I see a lot of value names holding up very well. I see solar kind of holding up. I see the casinos all up because of an MGM upgrade. Consumer staples kind of holding up here. I see tech pretty much holding up fairly well too. Apple's barely in the red. And, we're down 20 handles. And I was like, well, maybe it's Tesla because Tesla is getting the beats. And obviously that's a big component in the S&P now. But really, I don't see a lot of weakness here. That makes me more inclined to buy this dip as well.
All right, Money Mitch, how you doing there,
Let's get to it. Let's start with, of course, let's first start with the oil talk. OPEC announcing its decision not to change oil production targets. A price cap on Russian oil, though, has taken an effect. We're going to have to wait and see how this really affects the oil prices. Looks like oil prices were getting a little bit of a bounce, and this is mainly coming from the China optimism, right? It seems like more optimism coming from China about reopening and COVID lockdowns. Now, the real question will remain is what will Russia do now that the Russian oil cap is in effect? Will they continue to get that production out to those countries at that price? Or will they just pull the production altogether because they're not willing to sell at that price cap for the Russian oil?
All of that is way above my price grade. I can't, my pay grade. I can't tell you what is going through Putin's mind. I can't tell you what Putin's going to do next. I don't care what he does next. All I care is what the price action looks like here. And you're seeing, again, this relentless buying in oil
Okay,
stocks.
yeah.
It looks like every time they look like they're going to roll over, they're just more buyers and there's underneath demand. And I mean, we are in the tail of two markets. We've talked about it before. We are in a value bull market and a growth bear market. That is what we have been in for a long time here. We continue to be in that. I'm not sure what changes anytime soon. I will say a lot of these value stocks seem ridiculously overvalued to me now. So I will say, I believe there is a bubble in value stocks, a little bubble, because just where we're at. You've got stocks I've talked about making new all-time highs, like Deere making new all-time highs, Goldman Sachs approaching all-time highs. I mean, I don't think any stock has any business being at an all-time high right now. I'm just of the opinion that the Fed, we got 5% interest rates here that continue to go up, even despite, maybe a potential Fed pivot. We are far from pivoting here. We're not at a point. It depends what you're calling a pivot. I call a pivot when they're actually turning and starting to go down in the rates. That's not the case.
Yeah,
I guess they're
that's
calling a pivot,
that's-
just the change that they're not going up as fast. So sure, maybe we're not going to go up as fast, but we're still going to stay elevated for a prolonged period of time, which is not good news for stocks. But it's hard to argue with the tape. Value continues to get bought and growth continues to get sold. Although this buy the dip mentality is there right now. You cannot fight it. We said it on Friday. I do remember saying that after the number, that they probably come in and buy the dip because that's just what they're doing. And what do? It opened right at the low, the SPY, right on the tick. It opened at the low. You don't often see that. SPY opened at the low tick and just climbed all day. You took zero heat if you bought the SPY open, and you're up. So do you think they come in and buy the dip today? I do. I think they come in and buy the dip here again. I do think we may eventually have a date with 420. At 420, I'm selling everything.
Okay. You just covered about 6 different
What
things.
we try to do, get as much information in an hour as possible.
First, I'll go to oil, and I couldn't agree.
Let's do that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Dennis, on the fundamentals. What they're saying, what they're doing, what they're going to do, what they're going to
No way to
say.
know.
It's absolutely out of our control. So I just try to interpret the price action. And I will say, look at this ExxonMobil chart. I think that would be the best example of try to decide. I mean, it looked like you have 5 days of nearly matching ranges. You thought it was going to crack on Friday, right? Along with the market, it didn't. And then you thought it was going to bust out, and it didn't. So I know that's a really tight range there. Playtherange.com until it either breaks out above, what is it, this 110, 111, a little bit higher than that, this 111 area, or breaks down. But I mean, it wouldn't break down on Friday, and it's just a tight market. So consolidations are good. That's what you want to see, because it will give you an indication of which way the market's going to go. So I'm continue to look at the consolidation. I don't know if all your other stocks. Let's call it 112 to 109.50. I know it got the 920 yesterday, but look at that range. So we'll wait for a breakout on that. CVX is not as clean a chart, but you held the low yesterday. So these stocks they're not rolling over. I don't know if I would buy them and anticipate them going back up to all-time highs, but there's certainly no selling pressure. As far as Friday goes, man, people were waiting for the pre-market low to get tested. Like moi, no can do, man. You had to be hitting the button right off the open to catch that rally. It was a strong day. They got it green. Couldn't close green, but we got a good area. So that's the overall market talk, Fed pivot talk. That's above my pay grade too. Just want to backtrack 1 second here, because we talked about the drag on the market, and that's Tesla. So
Yeah.
could you give me can we do the Tesla news, and we'll do the technicals, and then decide
Why not?
Yeah,
Yeah,
go ahead.
definitely. It's an important news today is the report that's coming from Bloomberg. Tesla is looking to reduce production at its Shanghai factory by 20%. Bloomberg reported on Monday, citing people familiar with the matter. The production cut, which will take effect as soon as this week, follows the EV maker's assessment of recent performance in domestic markets, said sources, adding that there is enough flexibility to increase output if demand increases.
there's just so much technical damage in Tesla. I mean, you think about, and I've been arguing that we could move to 420. They're buying the dip, and part of me says, yeah, I'd want to buy the dip in Tesla too. But there's easier dips to buy than the Tesla dip. I mean, this has been the stock that has been leading us lower. It's the weakest one. A lot of days you come in. I mean, it made a new low 6 days ago. There's no stocks making new 52-week lows. Tesla is one of them. So, I mean, if you're a fan of relative strength, this is not the place to be. Yeah. You're a fan of contrarian, you think it's oversold, maybe. I'd say it's got to get above 200 before I get interested from a bullish standpoint here, Joel. I mean, this is where you bottomed in October. You kissed it in November. You kissed it again 2 days ago, getting up to 198.92. I think if you're trying to get bullish Tesla, you need to wait until it gets above 200.
Mm-hmm. You know who's not bullish Tesla?
Who?
Elon Musk.
Why? What's he saying now?
I mean, he's selling stock.
He's doing that for Twitter, though. But the Twitter thing is his primary focus right now.
Exactly.
This is a big problem for the stock too. We've said that.
That's his focus, and it's just, and why not? I mean, he built he has how many billion-dollar companies and Starlink or whatever. Maybe he just sees the utility in Tesla, more risk-reward ratio with his time. So with that being said, it's still a love stock. What I'm going to do on this one, we are trading down. The pre-market action had us, wish I would have pulled the pre-market chart has us down 695. But I think I'm going to try. I like to try and equate, like when I see a chart, I can give you the pre-market low. The pre-market low comes in at just under 185. But I'm going to go to the Apple chart here for a second. And I think this is the same scenario. When Apple was getting whooped up last week, and you're like, well, can it find a home, at 140? Can it find a home above the low of the move? And it did. And it put in a nice double bottom, pulled back off the high. When I'm looking for Tesla, and I'll give you a number, it's 182.5. It's halfway back of this move here. There's no daily low there. So if this was the big move, the big turnaround, I expect this to hold 182, 180.5, turn back up and go back over 200. If in fact you can't hold that area today or later in the week, then you test the lows at 180 and everything. But to me, it's a pretty simple setup. We'll look at resistance at the bottom of yesterday's range at 191.41.
I'll give lots of easier places to be.
Good. That's a great point, Dennis.
I just think why be a hero and try to call the bottom in Tesla? The thing still trades at a nosebleed multiple. Yes, the multiple is cheaper than it was. So relative to itself, it's probably cheaper than it's been in a long time. But relative to itself, it was always insane. Or relative to everything else, it was always a crazy valuation. So, I mean, there's still the obvious trade here happening. They're buying low PE, selling high PE. Do I want to fight that overall tape? I don't know. It's hard to chase the low PE stuff here now, though, just because it's run so far. So what I really want is a pullback in low PE to put more of that stuff on. I'm not looking at pullbacks in high PE to put that stuff on because I think that stuff still has a path lower in the long run.
All right, last comments I'll make on Tesla is I'm looking for it to come back and test that 167.43. Remember, I've been calling that level for a while now. That's the 5-to-1 split from the 2020. We bounced right off of that. I think it comes back towards those levels. I'm looking for Tesla underneath those levels because I know that a lot of people would be caught underwater, and then I can get Tesla underneath the price that they probably got it with that stock split. Let's go towards now China stocks, as China stocks are up here and they don't seem to want to stop. Let's get into those. We can go with Billy. Remember last week?
Give the fundamentals. Give the Burry comment.
Holy.
Yeah.
I thought it would slow down, and it hasn't even slowed down at all. Go.
All right, let's give some of these comments. So Michael Burry was out on the weekend, and he's talking about he tweeted this about his take on the index, of course. He's talking about China markets here. He said, "Meet the new boss, same as the old boss. The Hang Seng recently hit 1997 levels, 25 years. Yet GDP multiplied 18 times during that time. 97 valuations were 20 times earnings, 10 times EV to sales, 3 times tangible book. Now on now 711, note that 3 of the last premiers served 3 terms. And so he's pretty much calling the valuations that he says they're at a better valuation than they were back in 1997.
What song? Meet the and you guys don't answer, but who's that? Meet the new boss, same as the old boss.
Sing it to us, Joel. Sing it.
Nah, I can't sing. I can't sing. What about
no
our
idea.
chat?
Won't get fooled again.
Yep, that's it. Yep, the Who.
The
Who,
Who.
baby.
Won't
One
get
of
fooled
my
again.
all-time favorite bands for sure. Dennis, I know you like your gangster. Dennis, do you have any of your gangster rap clothes around still? Are
Oh
they
yeah,
still
check
fit?
it around.
You come on.
I was in high school in the early 90s, basically growing up outside the D, listening to Detroit
Outside the
television,
D.
listening to Detroit radio. I mean, this is what if you were raised, and you were, Joel, I don't, but you know what, you're too
I'm older.
old. You were
I'm
too
too
old for it. You were the one that was like when they're showing up at the Joe, you're like, these people that's saying, all this NWA's guys, these punks. You were probably like that, and I was like, "It's awesome."
I wasn't going, man.
I loved NWA.
I was seeing the
The
whole
Who and NWA.
Who,
These could be two more opposite
Stones.
bands.
Rolling Stones. Tried to see Zeppelin. I told that story the other day. ZZ Top. I mean, but
while
we digress.
While
We
Joel was
bad
listening to the Who, Dennis was listening to Nas and Tupac. So let's get
Tupac
into Billy
rocks.
here.
East
Billy,
Coast,
Billy,
West
guys.
Coast.
Billy,
wait,
what's
one
going
more
on
thing.
in China?
One more thing.
Pac.
One more thing. One of the best shows I've ever seen was at the Fox Theater. Dennis, you ever been to the Fox?
Yeah,
In
yeah.
Detroit?
Yeah.
I saw Peter Townsend, the lead singer of the Who, playing with the DSO, the Detroit Symphony Orchestra, and John Entwistle, the bass guitarist, was there. And not Peter Townsend, but Peter Townsend's kid. Man, that had to be like 20 years ago. One of the best music. It was incredible. And he, Daltrey walked up and down the aisles singing. That was a long time ago. Okay, what stock do we want to talk about?
I don't even remember what we were talking about. We were going to make a point.
Chinese stocks.
China. We were talking.
This is what
China.
happens. Is that Dennis likes this kind of music.
Oh, that's
Mitch!
Mitch,
Then we're gonna get
drop an
fined.
F-bomb. You can't drop an F-bomb on the
jeez.
show.
I'm sorry. My soundboard is for live trading. It's not for pre-market
You
prep.
can't
We go a
beat
little bit
Snoop.
loose out there.
You can't beat Snoop.
Are we gonna get fined for this?
Don't worry,
We're
Joel.
getting fined
I
for
pay
that
these
for sure.
fines.
Just drop
They
an
take them out
F-bomb.
my check, Joel. Don't worry. They take them out my check. Let's go to Baba and Billy, JD. What's going on in China, guys?
Willie Billy. Holy!
I don't know
Watch
what's
it now.
going
Watch
on.
it now. It's up $4. It won't stop here.
Yeah, it just keeps gapping up. More like it. Look at these gaps on the
No.
daily chart. Look at these gaps.
I know
Boom,
it's just crazy.
Boom,
The stock's
boom.
doubled. It's doubled, Joel, in 4 days, 5 days. It doubled since earnings. It's doubled.
What no one
I
told
thought the
me.
big move off the bat would get faded. There's no fade happening here.
No one told me that the 24th was going to be the low for all China stocks.
Good point, Mitch.
Yeah.
That's really what it was in my
Oh,
eyes.
yeah,
That
China just
24th
rocking
date
and
has
rolling.
been the bottom in the China markets. They haven't even taken a single hit towards that level. Look at it on Baba here. That's this
jeez.
Harmy candle down here. Look at that. Since then, what have we been doing? It's been a rip and rally bull market since then.
Well, what one thing, and to the point that you made when you were bringing up the China stocks, they got low P's. Most of them have a hell of a lot lower P than they did before, if you believe the numbers.
I knew
The
that was
problem
coming,
is
yeah.
it's the gap accounting versus the Chinese accounting. It's like, I don't know if I believe that much coming out over there. But regardless, it's the low PE trade showing up here too. The low PE trade has been on for the last month. It has been October, from the October bottom. It's been all the Dow components, been all the low PE stuff that just doesn't stop. China stocks, if you take their numbers for what they are and actually just apply them, a lot of these have low PEs too. The low PE trade continues to be on. That's what you're seeing.
What's the Lucky Kitchen symbol? I know it's so many.
Is it
L.
left? It's still trading like 10
Lucky,
symbols in it? 10 letters?
Lucky Coffee, was it?
LCKN, like LCKNY.
LCKNY.
Y.
What is it, Mitch? Help me out.
I don't think I can't get it anymore.
Anyways, that was
Chat,
a scam.
help me out.
No
That
more
was a
lucky
scam.
coffee, man. The coffee's done, man.
What? I call
It wasn't
lucky.
lucky.
I call it Lucky Kitchen
Unlucky
because
coffee.
that Chinese restaurant in Ann Arbor that used to be around.
UKN? UKIN?
Oh, I can't.
No, I can't even. It's delisted. I can't even find it at
Yeah,
all.
lucky. I
It's
can't.
LKNCY.
Yeah.
What's $21? It's probably did some splits or something funky.
No,
LKNCY.
It's a LKNCY. There
Where's
you go.
$21?
there it is.
Look at it. Look at it. It exists
Getting at
still.
the longer chart, Joel. Has it really come back that far?
I mean,
Yeah.
Look at that.
Well, the all-time high
Is
was
that
just
right?
over 50.
Or did they do
Look at
some
that.
splits and funky stuff?
No, this
No,
is when they came off.
Well, maybe it's not a scam.
This is when they came off, and then it's back to 21.90. It almost filled the
That's
gap.
crazy. That's the most hidden bull market I've ever seen.
Look
I
at
thought
this
that thing
gap
was off the
fill,
board,
man.
gone like forever.
Look at this gap fill.
We could have been trading that.
It filled.
We could have been trading that thing.
It filled that gap since it went out. Look at that.
Wow.
Man, I should have just got some lucky coffee.
Yeah, we should have.
I guess I just wanted to go through these. I looked at this
Let's
pin
go
duo
to
duo
these
last
charts.
week. Pin duo. I mean,
Let's go.
I'm just gonna give you the pre-market high, and then you can use that as a target, and you can figure out what to do. That's 91.58. Baba. The thing with these is that I'm so hesitant to give resistance because if you start doing 50% retracements in these things, like where does that take you to in Baba? Or even a 33%
They're so
retracement
beat
in
up,
Baba?
Joel. The China stocks
know.
could go anywhere. There's an argument that these things, there's $300. It's $90. I mean, it could go to 150 and still be in a downtrend. It could go up 50% from here and still be in an overall downtrend. That's scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, 50% retracement pulls it back to 65.39.
You're talking a different stock. You're talking PDD. We talk Baba. So bring up Baba. I'm talking about.
I'm talking.
He was talking Pin Duo, right?
Pin Duo, but I'm
talking
about the retracement from the top.
From the overall
to
move.
The bottom.
Oh, from all the way from the top to the
Baba,
bottom.
$319 down to 58,
This is what
which
you guys
basically was an
about.
all-time low, like kissing near an all-time low, which is incredible to think about.
50% on Baba is 190.
100, it could go up 100 points, and it's still just hitting the 50% retracement in the overall move. Hard to be short. I mean, there's a lot of there's a lot of risk being short this stock.
Yeah,
I'll
that's
tell you
190.
that.
That's a huge run.
Holy! I don't even know what to say.
Yeah, it's just hard to get these though, because that's why I mentioned the gaps, because I hate stocks that just gap like insanely, like almost every single day they're gapping, and a lot of this is because they're trading on international markets. But how do you attack a pullback like this, or how do you attack a stock like this? I would throw it to you guys.
You don't short it. You don't short it.
I don't think you short it either. I don't.
Yeah, I don't, and I don't know where you buy it. I think you have to really.
That's the harder part.
Yeah, you have to be good on your. This is when I'm I'm not always an advocate of like shorter term charts, but I mean if you're trying to trade this intraday, I mean at this point, and this would not be any like big call here, but you got to think it has a date with triple digits, right? For Baba, right? That's only $6 away. It could be there tomorrow night. I would say my next target on the upside psychological 100's big, right? But the next daily high would be, our next monthly high would be 104.85. That's $10 away. It moved $10 last week. So maybe wait for a retracement on this. If it finally gets a peak and pulls back, the gaps are just not as relevant because we're not the primary market, right? So this is traded. So once again, I'll give you the pre-market high. That's just over $95. That comes in at 95.20 if you want to use that as a short-term target.
If they weren't China stocks, I'd say I'd be a buyer of pullbacks, just looking at these things technically. But because the wool pull, you don't know what's going to happen next. You talk about tape bombs. There's a tape bomb that happens from China 3 times a week. So, I mean, and good or bad. So, I mean, there's just so much risk. I usually stay hedged overnight when I'm trading these things. I'll be long Baba, short Baidu, long KWAEB, short MCHI, or, I try to stay hedged just because the overnight risk is just incredible. But, I mean, right now, the low PE trade is winning. People are looking and saying, hey, these China stocks are just murdered. Eventually, they're coming back. And the emerging markets trade has been just murdered. Eventually, it's coming back. That's what they're saying. I don't know if that's right or not, but can't argue with the fundamentals of what they're putting out and the low PEs. So I don't know if you can argue with the specific fundamentals being true, but if they are true, the PEs are low and low PE trade is on.
Des, could you walk us through something real quick here? Because I don't think, we get different listeners coming in at
Sure,
different
what?
times and
What do you
everything.
need?
Like, how would you, like if you were going to do a trade in Baba or something, not, buy, seller, or if you saw something, what you would do. I mean, right now, if you bought the Baba, right, you're up 4.4, 4.45%. So with that, you would use the K web, right? Is
You could
the hedge?
hedge it with the K-Web if you wanted to. Those move really
Yeah.
close. That's a little arbitrage stuff, though. It's like when you get these price dislocations, maybe off the open, Bob opens a little bit too low, then you hedge it with the K-Web. You see price dislocations in the after hours and pre-market often, but also at the open and the close. So that's why I focus on those. And price dislocation just means one stock get beat up because it's a big seller in the market. So boom, maybe it's Bob gaps down a little bit. K-Web, then I would short with it, and then I'm hedged, and I'm trying to pick up the difference. That's all. That's types of arbitrage strategies, though.
Okay.
But if you're making a call, I mean, I go on with the trend. You're buying pullbacks on the stocks because they're turning it around. I mean, the value trade is on, and no matter what, it's perceived as value right now. There's stocks that are grabbing bids. And it's not coincidental that China stock's been grabbing a bid since October too. It's not coincidental, Mitch, that China stocks bottomed on October the 24th. Like, look, to all your value names. When did Deere, bottom? It was a little bit before that. But Goldman Sachs bottomed pretty much that same time in mid-October. We've been bottoming in value since mid-October, and they've been buying value stocks ever since. And, shame on us for not mentioning China's value, but P's are there to support that value argument. Now, again, I don't know if I believe it. I don't know if I believe all the numbers coming out over there, but if you take them as face value, the P's are low, and that's the trade that's on.
Mitch, I want to hop in here just with one stock because there wasn't on our regularly scheduled programming, but John brings it up, and I know Dennis recently invested in it, and I know Mr. Buffett is in it, and the stock has a low PE. Paramount Global here.
Yeah,
come along.
Got you. Just last second, let me give these last comments for JD and PDD. We did give at this day that when PDD was up in the pre-market and China was actually down, certain stocks like JD and Baba, that was this pullback on JD. We were talking about it. That was the 28th of November. You guys can pull back. We were looking for JD to maybe hold as support there. That was probably about the only opportunity that I saw to join this China rally.
Yeah, that was it.
That was it. That was the only one. But let's go to that para there, Paramount, that we were talking about. Would it get to 20? Now it's at 2030. And in the pre-market, looks like it got some action there. Let's talk a little bit about it. Of course, para, why I thought this could get the lift is because it started getting, of course, support with the World Cup, right? One way to watch all the games was with para. And so I think that gave it just enough, with also included a Black Friday deal that they put out there. I think people jumped on it, and maybe that's giving at least some attention to para. But what do you think about these stocks?
I'm long PARA. I said
Dennis,
on the show I said it on the show about a week and a half ago. I said I kind of like it. It's got a low PE. Low PE trade is on. It had pulled back, so you saw the big pullback from 20 down to like 17, 26. I'd have to bring it up. I don't know where I bought. I think I bought in the 18 handle. I feel like it was like 18, like when the little, I didn't get the very low when it went down to 17.26. I feel like I bought it like 2 days later, like 18.20, 18.30, because it kind of looked like, you had the pullback and value names on, I've been buying dips on value. And PARA, as much as, I don't think it's a great company, it is perceived as it is probably a lower PE stock. Yeah. So I went long. Dividend is there too, 4.73% here now. I'm still long PARA. I think my target overall is like 420 SPY to dump all this stuff. But because I kind of feel like there's a path here. And we could have a rug pull anytime. And obviously on this show, we are entitled to change our opinions. As traders, you're always entitled to change your opinions. But I feel like if we don't get any massive tape bombs here, if the CPI, and again, the CPI is going to be scary. So when's the CPI? Give us that date again because it's so important, Mitch. It's
The
like
13th.
13th.
And
Probably
then we
the
get
12th. I'm going
FOMC
to
meeting the
reevaluate some
14th.
of these trades and decide if I want to hold them through the CPI. But I feel like I'm kind of, I feel like we're in a little lull here where I don't see an imminent tape bomb happening, at least until that CPI data. And I feel like the path of least resistance for the value stocks is still a little bit higher. So I stay long PARA.
Just for me on the dailies, just this 2050 is just huge. I mean, you bumped up against it twice last week. You bumped up against it earlier in November. That's where you broke down from in late September. So it's one of those scenarios where, well, yeah, you got to get above it, but you got to get above it, and then you got to make that area act as support, right? And it's far from doing that, but I like it technically on the upside. So I tried to be a soccer fan this weekend. I mean, I was around on Saturday morning.
I was wondering why the U.S. lost.
And
I
just
struggle
joking.
watching soccer, Joel. Do you like? I struggle to watch it. People are like, you got to watch this World Cup. It's so
It's
good.
gotta play, man. That's what it
every
is.
game is 1-0 or 2-1.
no, not when
and
the
they're
U.S. goes. They
midfield.
lost 3-1. There's the most
Yeah.
goals given up since 1976.
3 goals is the most goals given up since 19. I struggle to watch it. I don't know. Maybe I'm just.
I mean, how do you watch hockey games that are 1-0?
There's no hockey games
many,
1-0.
Not that many.
They're 5-4, 3-2 league, but I don't know. I've always struggled to watch soccer.
There was one play that I could.
I probably again because I was organized soccer for 5 years and I never scored a goal. I already said that. I probably got a bad taste for it.
Yeah.
That I was put on defense because I sucked.
You got put on the bench a little bit too much. I know.
I probably got the bad taste for it there. So
there was one play on one of the goals where I'm like, for the Netherlands, I'm like, oh, that guy's so wide open. Someone go cover that guy, and the guy just goes boop.
Bloop.
And
I saw that same one, Joel.
Right over everybody, and
I was yelling, "Somebody go get him! Somebody go get him!" Nobody went to go get him. Hey, but I will tell you guys, if you play soccer, it's 10 times more fun. It's just like baseball, right? A lot of people say baseball is boring, but I'll tell you what, you step up to the plate and try to hit 96. Let me know how it goes.
I could never score a hockey goal or hit a 96-mile-an-hour fastball.
I could. I'll count myself in there. Let's go towards it. Let's get towards the next stock.
Once again.
Let's go to MG. I want to go to United Airlines. Let's go to Morgan Stanley's upgrade of United Airlines. We've been watching kind of the airlines overall to see what would happen with these stocks. I've been talking about that. I think these can get the holiday run, kind of a Santa Claus run. So these are the stocks that I'm watching also for that run. This was the note that was given by Morgan Stanley after 3 years of uncertainty when the market was either too hot or too cold or too hot. 2023 could be the year where conditions are just right, potentially delivering earnings well above the market's expectation. That's what the bank said in Monday's note. United Airlines, what do you guys think about it?
I mean, these stocks have been strong.
Value,
and I think
Joel.
People want to get out. Yeah.
What's the PE on UAL?
Yeah.
Lower PE. I know they were burning cash through COVID, but they're not burning cash now. What's the PE on this puppy?
7.6.
There you go. This is not rocket science market. It's the same stocks. It's the same story again and again. It's like Groundhog Day. Lower PE stuff is getting bought. Higher PE stuff is not. And higher PE stuff rallies for a day or two, and then it meets more sellers. Low PE stuff sells off for a day or two, and it meets more buyers. This is just the market that we are in. We cannot ignore what is happening. Do I think some of these moves are overdone? Yeah. Do I think the value trade is overdone a bit? Yeah. But we still can't argue from a day trading perspective. This is the stuff they continue to buy. It makes sense. Higher interest rate environment, if we're going to be there for a while, they want to own lower PE stuff. That's what they continue to do. Money now is worth money, a lot more than money later when you're in a higher inflationary environment as well. So I don't know if we're going to recession, a lot of these stocks are going to get hit. I still think we're going to go into a recession, but right now, at least until the end of the year or the next CPI number, you can't argue with the trade that is on, and the value trade continues to outperform.
I'm going to go to DAL because that's my favorite. Big Detroit hub used to be Northwest Airlines, and they got a few of our shekels over the weekend. But I mean, you're busted through the pair of highs from Thursday and Friday. You got some size maybe at the whole number, like 36. So it's like its typical pattern. I mean, it goes up, has an area, struggles for a little bit, and breaks out through it, and then comes back down. But keep a close eye on 36 here. And what's different about this is really shaping up on the monthlies too. You guys can't see my lower right chart because it's a long
I
story.
see it.
But no, that's Mitch's chart.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. I mean, you had a high at August 35.79, November 36 even. So far this month 35.74, but that looks like it's going to be improved on today. So Delta, that's I like that stock the best, like that airlines the best.
Yeah, I like these airlines going forward. I think we definitely need to keep an eye on these. It's another thing.
Good service too. Last time I flew, I mean, bang, they get you on, they get you off.
Well, I would say you've had good service, Joel. A lot of people have struggled with airlines lately. A lot of cancellations, a lot of things. They've gotten to the point that they don't even want to have customer service. Some airlines don't even have like a voice you can get to. You literally have to go through emails and things like this. I'm not going to say that the airlines are good in customer service.
Okay,
that might be a reach.
Before we go to Tim, I want to give everyone a travel tip.
What's the travel tip?
And Lisa's not like a huge fan of it, but you take the first flight out in the morning. No matter
I like
what time it is.
Early,
5:30. 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
You get up at 3:30, 4 in the morning. You get to that airport early.
Yep.
You're the first flight out, and
I agree with those.
you're out. And then whatever happens, because they start to stack them and they start to cancel, and then they start to jiggle, move people around. But if you take that first flight out in the morning, and like Lisa's looking at me in the car,
I think that is a good tip.
One
of the best tips we've given on this show in a lot of years.
Hell yeah, there. Let's go. Market Structure Monday time. Tim, talk to us here. You know all about traveling. You know all about it.
You take the first flight out in the morning, Tim. Is this how you roll too?
It's Market Structure Monday / travel tips.
Yeah, I know. We do it all in this show.
By Joel Elconin. The one great thing about taking the first flight out is you'll have a plane. And sometimes that's half the battle. So you're absolutely right, Joel. I completely agree with you. If you don't have a plane, you can't go anywhere. And
Not
yes,
easily.
in the last, the last few days, and I've got a flight tomorrow on United to Philadelphia. And I flew Southwest from Charleston to Nashville to Phoenix and back. And I would say, Joel, that, and of course, I flew 1 billion miles this year. It was just unbelievable. We were everywhere. And it was,
You're fly.
It is long stretches of misery interrupted by pockets of delight is how I would describe travel. But Southwest, they do a great job. They really do. It's a good airline. Anyway, good to see you guys. I'm sorry I missed you last week. It was sorry.
Remember in Southwest, they used to have the seats in the back where you face the other person?
Yes, I have sat in those seats.
Yeah. And you used
to intimidating.
And I lived in Chicago for a while. $9.99. I used to fly back and forth for $9.99. That was a lot of time ago.
We're old guys, but remember how awesome it was? You could just, I was in Sacramento, California. You could basically show up every hour and catch a Southwest flight somewhere. And all you had to do was like, well, I missed that one. I'll catch the next one. And it was dirt cheap.
You know what I think happened though, Tim? The algos took control. That's what happened. That's what happened.
That is exactly right. That's exactly right. And you get high frequency traded on airline tickets and hotel rooms.
Yeah.
If you look at a hotel room, suddenly there's only one left and the price changes. It is the very same principle, the very same logic. Yep. Amazon uses it.
I need you to talk some logic to me because, of course, the markets are tough and they've been tough this whole year. But yet it looks like the Dow Jones is shaking everything off. Looks like we're only 6.5% off all-time highs. How can this be, Tim?
And only down 2.5%, not quite, over the trailing year. So and if you look at and it's not just us, by the way. So you could look at the UK, which is in full-on economic contraction, and the FTSE 100 is up 8% the last month. The DAX, the German market, is up about 7%, close to that. And of course, the Dow has been the outperformer. Everything has done well since about, let's just call it, the end of October, maybe even a little sooner than that. But the markets have done great. And why the Dow? And I caught just a little bit of that, Dennis. It was you were talking about the value trade, and I would add this piece of market structure to that idea. Size has outperformed, and why is that? In fact, size has outperformed for 20 years. If you look at the NASDAQ, which is our growth market, it's up from, call it 2000, over the last 22 years, 2000 to 2022, it's up a little over 6% per annum currently. And give or take on a given day, if the market goes up 4% or down 3%, before taxes, commissions, inflation. But the Dow is up about 10%. So it's substantially outperformed the growth market. And why have these 30 components done better than everything else, and particularly over this last period? And I will say again, I think a lot of that is size. That one of the core things to understand about market structure and this age of thematic investing, the pervasiveness of BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street index funds, is that they need size and liquidity. And when money comes back into the market, it will disproportionately seek those things out. And there's a great illustration in Meta, which is not in the Dow, but it's an S&P 500 component, and it's the third best performer over the last month in the S&P 500, up close to 37%. And just back up a month, and Meta was everybody's doghouse.
Yeah.
So how is it that it's up 37%? What changed? Well, I would argue that money sought out size, and it concentrates into size because that's what big money needs. And it's a great market structure lesson. Size and value.
And everybody's been talking about the low PE and Meta all the way down. All of a sudden, a month ago, low PEs got cool. They were cool, and they're still cool. And Meta continues to take off because, hey, people are like, I don't mind being in something that's trading 11 or 12 times forward earnings here. It's got a pile of cash. Because you know what? Cash is worth a lot more today than it was at this time last year. Cash is worth a hell of a lot more.
It always pays. Cash always pays. And it
really pays well when you get 5% on it.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. And of course, the big thing here for you traders is, well, how would you know? Is there a way to know that those things are going to happen? And we talked, you talked about airlines. We can have a look at that too. But I would say, yes, I always come back to supply and demand. Supply and demand will generally tell you where money is going. And let me show you. Let's just take a look at these.
While you're pulling that up, I just want to make a meta comment.
Okay.
Pretty good commercial for the Oculus goggles. Have you seen that one? Have you seen that?
I've seen them. I've never had them on.
It has this guy, and he's like dreaming that he's a Dallas Cowboy player, and he's like a superstar, and he's rolling back and throwing touchdowns. I'm telling you, I'm not going to be going out and getting me any. But
I'll tell you what, I want Joel, my quarterback on Michigan. You see Joel go back, throw a touchdown. Hey,
yeah, man. Yeah. All right, Tim, go ahead. Back to your content.
Well, that's a good segue right into meta here. So if you look at this through it's the way I think about things, and it doesn't mean it's the only way, but it is a helpful way. And that's supply and demand. So this is meta over the trailing 30 trading days. And this encompasses virtually all of the returns that meta has generated. And you can see what happened. So the green part of the graph is an algorithm, 10-point scale. It's demand. It's taking the reasons that people invest and trade and measuring mathematically, is there more buying or selling? And as it goes up and it reaches 10, there's Clearly more above 5, there's more demand than available supply, no matter what is happening with supply. Then below, this is supply, short volume, not short interest, short volume. And so if you look at supply and demand, right here at the beginning of November, demand hit 1 and supply dropped sharply. I mean, supply is all the way down here at 35%. The broad market right now, by the way, is almost 49%, the S&P 500. So as soon as demand lifted, boom, the price took off. When supply reached here, just a few days later, it was 57%, then price stopped rising. This is price. That's what you can use. You're always going to know where the supply-demand imbalances are. And they're true in anything that performs well outside of certain circumstances, options, expirations, earnings. Things can happen there due to derivatives that are less predictable. But as a general rule, a central tendency, you can see that coming. And you can look at the airlines. Let's go look at airlines and see what's supply and demand doing in airlines. Well, it was awesome for previous periods. I wouldn't say it's awesome now, but the airlines are behaving more like value stocks. Interestingly, how would we know that they're performing like value stocks? Because they are bottoming at 5. Stocks that spend a lot of time at value, or 5, are value stocks. Sorry about that. And so you can look across here and say, well, Delta Airlines, JetBlue, American Airlines, Alaska Airlines, Boeing, its supply is pretty high. United Airlines supply is pretty high, but this whole group is around 5. Well, I mean, that's pretty good. If you own things that spend a lot of time at 5 and have supply below 45%, those stocks tend to be very stable and to deliver consistent longer-term returns. And that's what you can know. When they're bouncing around from 1 to 10, those are momentum trades, and you want to capture them and leave, be tactical. When they're like this at 5, you can be more strategic. And I think that that's where they are right now. Pretty good thing.
All right. Now, there was one stock that has been known as the best performer as of late. Looked like Etsy. What's going on in Etsy?
Yeah, and is that logical? I suppose you could say, well, we're heading into the holiday season.
Yeah, maybe
Etsy
they're buying some
right.
goods, right?
My sister-in-law uses Etsy, big Etsy supplier of Christmas ornaments, decorations, that kind of thing. She swears by Etsy's platform, great platform. But you could say, well, can I understand why Etsy is up, whatever it is, 60% the last month? Well, number one, again, just look at the amount of time it's spending over 5. That alone tells us it's a great, that there's excess demand. Follow excess demand, follow the money. There are little nuances in here that helped Etsy outperform the other two. SolarEdge, number 2, Meta, number 3. One was a big long bet. See this right here? That's a big long bet that preceded this big run around earnings, I believe it was, for Etsy. By the way, if you just clip this piece right here, you could insert it right in there. And that is when hedge funds shifted from long to short. Did they cover it? Probably, right in this swale. Then there's short volume, price stopped rising. Now that's come down. Demand continues to go up. I would say you could continue to get returns in Etsy. So long as there is a divergence between supply and demand stays above 5. But there's the reason that Etsy has led the pack. There are long bets coupled with excess demand, very easy to see. You can see it. When those conditions break down, when demand drops back below 5, you're out. Move on to the next thing. It's a great way to see the market.
Also, another comment on Etsy.
Yeah.
I think they had, I saw a good commercial for them too.
Right. I think I saw that too, Joel.
Yeah, it was a very good And the only reason I watched so much TV is because I was watching college football, baby.
Did you?
Michigan is in the college football playoffs, baby. We'll go back to that later. All right, Tim.
They've peaked at the right time. That's for sure.
There you go, man. Yeah. Well, we'll see TCU and then anybody. I don't know. We'll bring the Cowboys in to beat Georgia. But anyways, what else to trade? We saw some stuff already move. What's on your radar for the remainder of the week? Let's see. Second Friday coming up, right? So we don't have opposite expiration until next week. So what do you got for us?
Context is pretty good. I think about what's broad sentiment because, again, big money determines the pace and cadence of the market. When money floods into the market, where's it going? Well, it's gone into value and size. But I want to know what broad sentiment is. And then I think about context, and then I think about divergence. So here's broad sentiment. I'm not delighted with this, but look at how long demand has been above about 5 the whole time since the early October, really. Little dip right around October options expirations. Ever since then, demand has been very close to the red line, above it, or just very near it. That's excess demand. At some point, there will be a consequence from that. Supply is beginning to rise, but generally I look at this and say, I still have good tactical opportunities. I can put money in 5s, money spending a lot, or stock spending a lot of time at 5s, but I will look at that. Context, as you said, Joel, no options expirations, new month, new money, tends to be that money deployed into 401ks and so on has to be invested. The funds managing that money have a fiduciary responsibility to put it to work. And so it hits the market. And then I will look for divergences. So if I go look at the Benzinga December 5th portfolio, where you can see strong demand and falling supply, there are only 4 in it, but those are the things I will look for. And the math will do it. Just use the math. Believe it or not, NVIDIA is pretty good. It's got a pretty good supply demand divergence. I would look at Peabody Coal. You may hate coal, but Peabody looks like a pretty decent trade that delivers.
Hey, that's one of my favorites, Tim.
There you go. I like it too, right?
I'll give you another one in there.
Energy promoters.
I'll give you another one in there. Don't be jealous, Dennis.
I'm not going to make any comments.
Dirty energy.
Tim, one more before we let
coal.
you go. And this stock, boy, oh boy, and NASDAQ, man, NDAQ, Dennis, another stock at all-time highs, near all-time highs. You got a triple top here at 69 coming up. You got the all-time high coming up here, Tim. Where are we? I'd say we're on the Tim. We got to be like an 8 or a 9 on this one, aren't we?
Pretty good. 7. It's topped. Demand that's very good. You're getting good at making these calls. But you could just take a long step back and say demand has been it's been at 5 or better almost the entire period. You'd go all the way back to October options expirations. That's where everybody shifted long. There was 1 week period here where there were some short bets, but look at this. Demand very strong, supply trending down. What will that produce? A rising stock. It's very consistently true. So I agree, Joel. This continue until these conditions change, till demand weakens and supply rises back over close to 50%. NASDAQ, NDAQ could continue to be a good stock to trade, like CME, also been a very good stock to trade.
Tim Quast joining us here on Mondays. Well,
I've got most
Mondays.
So I'm not sure this made its way around to you, Mitch, but we finally have a code for Benzinga. Yeah. So Benzinga, you put in Benzinga to subscribe, that will get you $40 off the face value per month for 12 months. I mean, so that's a whale. It's the very best deal we offer, and that's for Benzinga users. Again, you can use it or not use it, but it's a great way to think about the market. That is it.
Well, check out Market Structure Edge if you guys want to check out the data that you guys see used here on a weekly basis for Market Structure Mondays. Appreciate you like always, Tim Quast. We'll see you next time.
Okay, have a great week.
Take care.
Hey, Triple D, are you leaning on your your sell button there, buddy?
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, guys.
Yeah,
the elbow gets stuck.
They're starting to play catch up here. I came in when we started the show and
you said down. You talk too loud, Dennis. Sometimes, man.
A lot of stocks have now given up a lot of stocks that were green are going red. Oil's bucking the trend. Oil doesn't care. That's maybe the driver for these stocks that continue. Now you're starting to see this inverse correlation maybe going to start here, where the oil starts stocks going up and everything else starts going down, because oil's having a fantastic day. China's having a good day, but there's a lot of stocks now rolling over here. Tesla was leading the charge down. They're still leading the charge down, but now we've got some other players following suit. Google's down 1% now. Netflix down 1% now. You've got other stocks falling off here now. So it's got a little bit uglier here in the last 20 minutes or so. Definitely sellers coming in here.
It's different. It's different too, because I'm just looking at it from like a market feel and a market structure standpoint. Friday, they just slammed it down, right? And just like whoosh, And you're like, whew, wow. And actually, and I think I mentioned it, like you went the entire average daily range in the pre-market, right? So in order to kill it for 110, 120 handles, they had to go out and take out the pre-market low. Now we've only moved 30 handles, right? And we're expecting a 70 handle range. So it's more of a just like, okay, I didn't buy the dip on Friday, but I'm selling this rip on Monday. And it's more of a concentrated move down. So nothing. The interday low is still another 20 handles lower, and our Globex low from Friday is still another 40 handles lower. So I can't in good faith tell you, okay, we're opening into a great number here. It's great support. You're just going to need the buy the dippers to come in here.
Well,
I
50%
think they do
retracement.
emerge again. I would go and look. We've sold off enough here. We start thinking about Friday's low. So 402.14 on the
That's a lot.
SPY.
Yeah, the
I
daily
think we
low.
start thinking about that number, a potential double bottom there. So if I was coming in looking to buy, I think I'm looking about 100 and about 17 handles lower than this. If you're going off the S&P or down a buck here on SPY, I think you start finding buyers in that 402 handle.
agree.
So sometimes you get these sneaky, almost to the tick double bottoms there. 402.14 is going to be a huge number on SPY.
Yeah, we talked about last when we got that downturn on that Friday number, of course, and it was getting hit, that it was really close to that 50% retracement from the recent rally from the kind of this bottom towards the top up there towards the 410. 50% has it right underneath that. So that's like at the 402.09 area. So I could look for maybe a touch again off of 402. If it can hold 402, I'm still in the bullish tune here for the SPY. I think we could get some pullback towards the open and then eventually rally. That's the way that it's been as of late, every time that we kind of get these down moves. So we'll see what happens. Like always, it seems like it's been tough markets, especially overnight. I mean, just think about this. Overnight, boom, then you're back down here. Then we close back up towards 407. Now you're back down there. It's really hard to trade those overnight action, especially if you're kind of a swing trader and you're thinking that these moves are going to continue and that maybe Friday's rip is going to continue ripping towards 410. Well, now you're back towards 403.90s. It's hard to deal with that action.
Real quick here, someone asking about FDX here, and yeah, I mean, there's always a potential for a gap fill here. As far as the seasonality goes, I mean, I think people are going to the store. As much as and we still get a FedEx or UPS just about every day, but not sure what their volumes are. But right now, if you're looking for that gap fill, just quiet ranges, 183.55 was your high from last week, and the high close for the week 182.22. So it's a slow, steady rally. I don't know how much seasonality is going to be.
This is total value trade too. I mean, FDX, what's the P on this thing? 13? 14?
Yeah, it shouldn't be too high up.
Again, it's the same story. It's so consistent that the stocks have performed the best. And yes, there's some outliers like Etsy. They can throw Unity or Etsy at me. But you also have a seasonality play happening there too in Etsy. But
here's a tip.
Overall, what's the FedEx? Do you have the P?
Yeah, I got you. It's 13 overall, and forward is at 12. But I think this is interesting. Dividend X date in 4 days.
Ooh. Well, there you go too. I mean, this is just where we're at. We're at this type of market where PEs matter here. Dividends matter because getting paid now is worth a lot more money. Now, the FedEx dividend isn't huge, only 2.5%. But again, was this the kind of stock I would buy on a pullback? Yep. This is the kind of stock going to perform well. Seasonality, FedEx going into the Christmas season. Yep. It's not like shocking that this has a sustained bid here as of late. Could it eventually fill that gap to $200 before the end of the year? It could. I don't think it does that. That'd be a pretty big move, but there's definitely justification for the recent move.
Yeah, I've been looking at it for a while now. As long as it can hold, I think the pullbacks towards that kind of resistance around 175, you're still looking like it's just stair-stepping its way up. All right, getting out of FedEx there. We got it 9 a.m. there. You want to bounce, Joe, or do you want to do one more?
Yeah, I'm going to hop here.
Yeah,
it's just a slow leak here. And as always, I'll be keep whatever that low is at 9:30. I'll be keying on that. Dennis gave you the daily low, right, at 402.14. Now, I know we got lower that in the pre-market trading, But what I can give you, and it will line up with the SPOO, about another 18 handles lower. And Dennis actually said 17. 402,750. That was the
Big
interday
number.
low. That to me is the not. If
I
I'm
think
playing
so
it from
too.
the short side, I'm not holding out for Friday's low at 0675. I'm looking at that daily low, and get back. And then right now, unchanged is looking pretty good. That would take a 30 handle rally. But what a great uninterrupted show today, folks. That was fun. Triple D, check in with you at the top of the hour, and Money Mitch, I'll check in with later on too. Everyone have a good day.
Sounds good to me. There you guys. You guys can keep up, of course, with Joel Elconin on PreMarketPrepPlus.com or PreMarketPrep.com with PreMarket Prep Plus. Got to get that right. Come on, Mitch. All right, let's go. We'll get into the market action. I hope that you guys appreciated us making a little bit of adjustment today. You guys saw it. No internet issues. Hit the like
Hey,
button.
look at that. Joel.
We fixed it.
Boom.
We fixed it. Like
Boom.
always, sometimes you got to make a pivot.
Long Comcast.
We made a pivot. We went to my charts. You see? We adjusted, team. Well, I hope that you guys appreciated the changes that we made. Definitely smash the like up. That's what we're always here for. We're trying to create the best experience for you guys to get ready for your pre-market action. Like always, we can't make investment decisions, but like what we do every single day, we try to show you guys perspectives from both sides of the coin and what you guys should be looking at in the market. Looks like it's been the battle of value. Looks like it could continue. What are you looking at today towards the bell, Dennis? Last comments.
That 402, that number that Joel just gave you, the number that I gave you on the SPY, 402.14. That's the level that I'm looking at here, and I am looking at buying value stocks on dips.
Definitely. We'll get you out of here. Dennis, go do what you do best, my friend. Get towards your trading action. All right. We get Dennis out of here. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up, get you guys over to Benzinga TV, where we'll have live trading. Benzinga Live. And of course, stock market movers. Don't go anywhere, team. We got a great week for you guys. And on the 7th, 2 days from now, we got our crypto event. I hope that you guys already have your tickets. But if by any means you're in New York City, want to catch it, get it now before it runs out. Money Mitch 20, the future of crypto. Let's get there. I'll see you guys on the 7th. New York City. It's going to be fun.